While it is true that the ever-changing meta in Valorant is highly recommended, it's not a one-size-fits-all tactic for every player on the board. Above all else, what matters is that you're enjoying what you're playing and who you're using. You gotta have fun. Now, be that as it may though, there are just some agents who work exceptionally well in certain elos. So if you're looking for a change of pace and trying to switch things up, here's some of the agents you need to play at every rank. Now, at the first step of the ranked ladder, there are some agents that are just too good to pass off. Now, this is simply because most players in Iron have a hard time reacting to or dodging utilities specifically. So the first one to abuse this weakness gets a major advantage for winning more matches, and that has to be Gekko. While he may seem intimidating to pick up for the first time, this agent is actually versatile and pretty overpowered against low elo players. With Dizzy, Wingman, and Thrash, you can easily bully your enemies as they'll most likely have a pretty hard time destroying these utilities. Now, I'd say he's also beginner-friendly since his utilities are both easy to learn and pretty dang powerful. And staying on topic with Iron players finding it difficult to react to utilities, Reyna is also a major threat in low elo as well. Although it can be challenging because Reyna is an aim-heavy agent, you're going to have a lot more time to adjust your shots with the help of her Leer. Arguably, Leer is also one of the easiest blinds to use in the entire game. You can just throw it on the floor like a pop flash for close enemies, or you can throw it in the sky for those long-range duels as well. And finally, Brimstone is also a great choice because of his simple yet effective toolkit. His smokes are pretty straightforward and his molly is so easy to use. But the best part about Brimstone, especially in lower ranks, is his stim beacon. Let's be honest here, Iron players won't have the best aim, no offense, and more often than not, everyone's behavior in this particular rank is to spray down the enemy's body instead of aiming for the head like they do in higher elos. Now, with the help of stim beacon, your team's fire rate is going to increase, giving your team an edge in the spray battle. Now, I'm not saying you should stick to this habit of spraying an Iron, but this util can definitely help you make your mark. If you don't know how to use it though, well then, that's where we come in. Over at SkillCapped, we specialize in helping players that are just like you quickly improve your mechanics and start top fragging your matches in just as little as a few weeks. We're going to teach you everything you need to know about becoming a top-tier aimer, guaranteeing that you're going to start ranking up or your money back. That's right, with our rank improvement guarantee, we promise that you're going to gain 500 RR or you do not pay. If you're curious what an extra 500 RR would land you, feel free to head on over to SkillCap to check out our free rank calculator. Alright, moving on to Bronze, here is when you start to learn more about the game and how the agents function on a basic level. Versatile agents like Gekko are still pretty OP in this elo, but we can also consider Sage, Brimstone, and Phoenix as well. Now, Sage in general is and should be played as a supportive role. However, she also shines best at destroying low elo players just with her wall and slow orb. The common tendency you'd notice from low elo players whenever you place your wall is that they destroy it by knifing away. This actually leaves them at a vulnerable spot because 1, it reveals their location, 2, you can easily combo them with a slow and molly to their location, and 3, or you can shoot the wall down when it's about to break and catch them off guard. If they're not knifing away, they're emptying their bullets even on pistol or eco rounds by shooting it down. The point here, their tendencies while facing Sage's utilities are what makes Sage OP in this rank. Now, as we once again recall how hard it is for low elo players to react to utilities, Phoenix becomes one of the perfect candidates for OP agents as well. He remains one of the best agents to main when trying to escape low elo because of how balanced and self-sufficient this agent really is. You can flash, you can heal yourself, wall up, and have an ult that allows you to scale up and pick off safely. You just have to be really careful of your flash placement so as not to blind yourself or your teammates, but once you get the hang of it, trust me here, you're going to be stacking up those kills and dubs in absolutely no time. Now, as for Brim, it's still pretty similar to how we explained his kit in Iron, but what I do want to highlight in Bronze is his smokes and his ult. In this elo, the best way to use his orbital strike is to deny the plant or defuse. All you have to do is place the ult at the center of the planter or diffuser, and you're likely already guaranteed a kill there. Now on the other hand, his smokes last the longest and have the least visibility among other smokes. And at bronze, you're probably already utilizing shotguns, so this is one of the best tactics you can maximize on in an agent like Brim. So upon reaching silver, you're going to have a bit more game sense to work with than in the previous ranks, and at this point, you start to become creative with how you approach each and every round. And as such, sentinels like Killjoy and Deadlock become a lot more powerful because you already have a good grasp on how you can use them. But when it comes to your opponents, you're going to notice that a lot of them are still persistent in pushing the same areas and falling for the same tricks. That's the weakness you're going to take advantage of with Killjoy and Deadlock. You know those iconic KJ setups on Ascent that can give you multi-kills with just utilities? You're going to notice that mid to high elo players are already advanced enough to either avoid or counter these setups. However, at silver, you still have a pretty high chance of melting through their attacks with these setups. Newly updated KJ setups like these are accessible online, so you're going to have a lot of reference to work with. If you're worried that they might already know the setup, trust me, it's going to be unlikely in silver. At this elo, people will often focus on who they main or the few agents they choose. But, of course, do try to learn more than one setup so you can mix things up and throw the enemy off guard. This same concept applies to Deadlock when it comes to setups, and boy, howdy are her setups really punishing. In silver, most players will still have the urge to just keep pressing W instead of scaling silently or being aware of traps, and this makes them the perfect victims for a well-placed sonic sensor. And on top of that, you have a powerful wall that you can use to bait the enemy team as well. If they're busy trying to shoot it down, you can easily punish them through the transparent walls. And there are also lots of nasty molly combos you can also use with her GravNet, so feel free to get creative. And finally, Raze is also a menace in this elo thanks to her explosive utilities. Most low elo players are ratty by nature, we all know them. So all it takes is a nade or a boom bot in the right place to punish them for it. Now, if you're worrying about your satchel movement, do yourself a favor, just don't worry about it. You're going to have plenty of time to practice this along the way to ranking up, plus you can use it for other purposes instead of the typical double satchel movement. For one, you can use it to destroy traps or force enemies out of corners. Again, this is that elo to start being creative, so go get yourself some fresh ideas. Ooh, gold. You're going to start to gain more confidence and knowledge about how to counter agents here. It's also when your aggression just becomes more strategic because you're going to know or at least be aware of when you're supposed to keep pushing forward or hitting the brakes on your gameplay. And Reyna is one of the perfect agents to use when it comes to aggression without being overly complicated. In all honesty, when you're able to play smart and aggressive while still being confident at the same time, Reyna can easily carry your matches for you. She's also a viable pick in the previous ranks too, despite not mentioning her before, and this is actually proven by how much of a popular pick she is in lower ranks based on esports tail statistics. However, just because a certain agent is a popular pick doesn't mean they're overpowered in a certain rank, but in Reyna's case, it's definitely both. Once you've reached gold, you've likely improved your aiming mechanics, which gives you more benefits to using Reyna, especially in Empress form. So in line with this aggression, Clove is also insane at this rank because of how aggressive you can be while still providing support for your team. You have a tossable debuff that can melt through enemies' HPs, heal and boost your movement speed, as well as a smoke for your team even after dying. Clove's ult is also one of the best utilities for aggression, especially when used with your team. Another agent who you should be using at this rank is none other than Tejo. Tejo in general, definitely an overpowered agent, but only in the hands of really capable players. And in gold, you're going to have better mechanics when it comes to utility placement, which is exactly what Tejo needs for his utilities to pay off. With Tejo, you can play more aggressively with your team while still being at the safe distance, as well as play post-plant for securing rounds pretty easily. You're also going to be able to develop your teamwork skills, allowing you to combo with your team's utilities pretty efficiently as well. All right, moving on to Plat. Cypher is one of the best and most overpowered sentinels you can use to dominate in Platinum. You really just need to avoid being too predictable with your setups, which you can easily remedy by changing it up in each round or every other round. With Cypher, you can safely protect far areas of the map without your presence while assisting your team as well. As long as they play off your traps, you're going to have more chances of shutting down the enemy's side executes. all it takes is a few research and experiments in custom games to really try out different setups. If you can, try to always look for a one-way cage combined with a cam or a tripwire. It's almost always great for anchoring sights and punishing lurkers, especially in Platinum. Now in Gold, we mentioned Tejo, but here, we're going to highlight how the Breach and Tejo tandem is insanely busted in this elo. Since you're likely to expect more synchronized strategies and rushes in this elo, a little Breach and Tejo utility dump is often going to be more than enough to shut it down. Honestly, this works in higher elos as well, but Plat is the best place to start for their chaotic duo. You're going to have the game sense to time your utilities and place them in the right spot, as well as a decent enough aim to follow up with gunfire. For Duelist, if you're looking to wreak havoc on a higher level, then you should definitely pick up Yoru. Now we have to say that there is a little bit of a learning curve for using Yoru, which is why he's more viable in the higher ranks, but once you get comfortable with that kit, the rewards are honestly truly massive. You can easily bamboozle enemies, hitting them from unexpected places, and just be an overall nuisance to their game. Now if you have teammates like Fade or an Astra, you could even up the ante by masking the sound cues of your gate crash and dimensional drift. Remember that stand-up moment from Zekken against 100 Thieves? Well, I sure do. In Diamond, where movement becomes more pivotal to ranking up, Mobility Duelist reign supreme in this elo. Winning the round can often favor who has the best movement and can capitalize on that positioning. This is where agents like Neon, Waylay, and Jett, they really shine the most. Now, if you refer back to esports Tails statistics like we were talking about earlier, you're going to see how popular Jett is in the higher ranks. This is mostly because her movement and verticality, well, let's be honest, they're absolutely goated. Whether you're holding an angle or you're aggressively taking space, her mobility is going to serve you well as you find the off angles to punish your opponents. And pair that with an op, and you got yourself a true, well-oiled killing machine, man. The closest to Jett's mobility, though, is the newly added agent, Waylay. Now, some may argue that she's the better option, but they're honestly both viable in their respective strengths, in my personal opinion. And with Waylay, you have more room to take risks because of how easily you can move back to safety with Refract. Now, on top of being an aggressive and mobile duelist, she can support her allies with Saturate and Convergent paths. So whether you're aggressing solo or playing with the team, you're going to find a ton of value from using Waylay. Now, we also have to include Neon, though, because of how annoying she can be to play against. Her speed, it's top-notch, and that accuracy while sliding, that's a huge pain in the neck, man. And on top of that, once she goes overdrive, you can just bypass Valorant shooting mechanics altogether and go all out electrocuting your enemies. Lastly, as opposed to the overpowered mobility duelist, we have the #1 counter to them, Vyse. Vyse is easily the best sentinel when it comes to stalling, and with the increase of her usage in ranked in the pro scene, people are really starting to understand her value a lot more. If the enemy team is planning to rush a site, Vyse's traps can just shut them down with so much ease. Now, she may not be the exact same killing machine, but she's the best at what she does, buying time until your team can rotate or pinch the enemies. From here on out, you're going to notice that the top 3 most popular picks in these ranks are Jett, Clove, and Reyna. Now again, it's not about popularity, but how broken these agents really are in these specific ranks. Now, although we could definitely keep placing Jett from Ascendant to Radiant, where's the fun in that, man? Jett remains an overpowered duelist in Ascendant to Radiant, but we're going to be focusing on team players like Astra and Kayo here. And starting with Astra, her kit is just too good for supporting the team no matter where they are. Her pull and concuss is great for clearing corners and playing post-plant. Her ult, it's probably the best utility for controlling a massive amount of space. And on top of all of that, she can accomplish all of this even while lurking. The amount of agents and utilities you can pair with Astra is enough proof of how great of a support she really is. And on a rank like Ascendant, team play starts to become way more pivotal than solo heroics. And this is also why Kayo enters the scene on this rank, though this doesn't necessarily mean he's not viable in the lower ranks. Since developing teamwork and coordination matters most in Ascendant, being able to shut it down is understandably overpowered here. Kayo's 0 point and null command is easily a game changer for turning the tide on your opponents. These utilities are perfect for both defensive and offensive plays, which really makes them highly valuable for securing rounds. And on top of all of this, Kayo's flashes are great for synchronized site takes with duelists like Jett, Waylay, and many others. And as for duelists, you might want to start picking up ISO as a secondary duelist. With the ISO buff on Undercut being able to suppress, he can achieve similar results to Kayo's 0 point, while still being able to create space for the team and be an overall self-sufficient entry fragger. Since the aim of players is going to be significantly better in this elo, ISO Shield is a much-needed advantage and layer of safety in all those duels you're going to be facing. And with that kill contract, well, you can easily create an opening for your team as you open up a securely anchored site from an enemy sentinel. And as you move on toward Immortal, the games are not going to get easier, but if you have reached this point, you have definitely grown in the game and improved your overall mechanics. And by then, you should already know that the team that doesn't have any strategy in each and every round is bound to meet defeat. That's why in this elo, the overpowered agents are the ones who are capable of supporting team strats and executes effectively. Agents like Fade and Astra are the true shining MVPs for providing info and support to the entire team. And if you've noticed, both of these supportive agents work exceptionally well if paired with Yoru, which again makes Yoru another candidate for broken agents on this rank. In Valorant, sound cues are one of the main sources of info, and Fade's ability to deny that, on top of being able to provide info for the team, it's absolutely insane. This opens up a ton of possibilities for the team to rush in, pinch, and layer their utilities. In this elo, as well as Radiant as well, Vyse also remains a broken agent because of how well she can anchor a site. Her presence also forces the enemy team to play default or reconsider their rush because Vyse can easily isolate 1 or 2 members from the enemy team. An effective setup from Vyse can put a lot of pressure on the enemy team due to the amount of time it can delay. Now, since we brought back Vyse, I'm going to highlight a different aspect as to why Yoru is worth noting in this particular elo in Immortal. Since Vyse has become more rampant in higher elos, Yoru is the best agent to play against her. Yoru's fake out can bait or activate Vyse's wall and traps, which makes it easier for the rest of the team to push, or it can also be done to sell a fake, and with the help of Gate Crash, Yoru can instantly rendezvous with the team. And while you're at it, try faking the enemy team by pretending to be a Yoru clone once in a while as well. In higher ranks, people often expect their enemies to be cautious with their decisions, so you might be able to get the jump on them if you do the Yoru clone fake correctly. Finally, we have reached the apex of Valorant rankings. Radiant. You're going to see some already mentioned names in this elo, but of course, for good reason. And starting off with Jett. I mean, she's like the literal poster boy or girl for duelist. Throughout Valorant's history, she's the best duelist to quickly capitalize on her teammates' utilities. Her unique kit and how they complement each other is really what makes her one of a kind. Who else can dash into sight directly inside her own smoke while still being able to gather info? This is literally the best combo you can do with a well-timed flash and recon during your side executes. Now, I'm sure you can achieve similar results with other agents, but none can accomplish it quite like Jett can. We're also going to bring back the insane duo of Tejo and Breach as well, which is overpowered on almost any map. The number of combos they can do together is as plenty as it is unforgiving. And if your team is lucky enough to have them both alive on post plant with their utilities still up, then I can only wish the enemy team luck getting the defuse or even being able to retake the site. Now, as a little trump card that's yet to be mentioned throughout this video, we're going to include Chamber. Now, upon his release, he was insanely broken, man. Then came the nerfs, and now I believe Riot has really found the right balance on this agent. Chamber is a great aggressor sentinel that can also act as a pseudo-duelist. Now, while he may not be able to give the deadly setups, his guns and rendezvous is more than enough, especially if you have Radiant level aim. Chamber's Headhunter and Tour de Force are a Deadeye's best friends. And if you don't think Chamber can stop site rushes, try having a teammate get picked off with Tour de Force on a full rush execute. The rest of the team is likely going to be slowed, leaving them in a vulnerable spot and delaying their push. And if that's not enough, Chamber can be gone in an instant after getting his one. all you need to do is set up your TP, peek out, get your pick, and snap your way out. No trades, low risks, and high rewards. All right, though, guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little bit more about SkillCapped. So we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and we think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's kind of like a gym membership guaranteeing you that you're gonna get ripped. Your local gym would probably go bust if they offered you that. But not us, because we've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium Valorant guides on the internet. We add new courses every month with over 1,000 guides curated into over 50 courses. No one can compare. We also have a direct line of communication with subscribers in our Discord so that you can get connected immediately to some of the best players in the game who will respond to every question you ask. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month if you're serious about improving your game. So that's going to be all for this one today, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.